Good day. Happy Saturday. What's going on, y'all? What is going on to everybody in the chat? Thank y'all for being here. What are y'all up to this Saturday? Y'all haven't even been outside. I've been taking care of some stuff, and I wanted to jump on here because y'all, this Epstein situation is getting a little explosive. I don't even know if I want to say a little explosive. Y'all, this is just not good. I don't know what y'all thinking, but they are protesting, um, of course, everywhere, and most certainly at the Capitol. Now, I don't know if you guys recall the Republicans, or if they call themselves MAGA, honey, they are flipping to the other side. Now, we got some more emails for y'all. I said we're going to talk about this thing until we can't. We are not going to let old Dusty Donald Trump get out of this. Okay. Now, we got another email, y'all, that we want to get into. Now, estate, Jeffrey Epstein's estate, I want to be clear where these emails are coming from. Release some more emails, and this one gonna have y'all in stitches laughing so damn hard when y'all hear what Jeffrey Epstein said about Trump's personality, and what he said about what kind of person that Donald Trump is, y'all. Ooh, y'all, this is getting ugly. So a lot of Donald Trump supporters are saying, listen, we may have supported Donald Trump, but we ain't supporting no, what you put in the chat, GOP grand old P files. Exactly. We ain't supporting that, but let's get into it, y'all.
New and incredibly revealing details about Jeffrey Epstein and his opinions of Donald Trump, someone that Epstein once called his closest friend for 10 years. The emails and text messages show that Epstein continued to be focused on Trump when he became president, questioning his sanity, psychoanalyzing him as someone who feels alone and might, quote, crack, even suggesting without explanation in one email, quote, I am the one able to take him down. Obviously, in the context of all of this, you want to know more there, but we don't have the context. The two men, of course, were once extremely close. Several associates of both of them have told us over the past year that they were the best of friends. 𝐸𝐭𝐬𝐫𝐞 of K-File is out front now with his new reporting. And Andrew, you actually went through, and it's a lot. You get document dump like this.
Yeah.
You can word search, which actually was not easy in these documents because they were scanned.
I just want to address a few people in the chat. I know somebody said the text messages don't prove anything, or the emails. Right now, they prove that Donald Trump was best friends with a pedophile. I mean, if that's not enough, are you friends with people that mess around with kids? So it definitely proves that. I don't know what else it needs to prove. Is that not enough?
But then you have to really try to read them. And you read through thousands of pages. What did you find?
That's right, Erin. And after going through thousands of these newly released emails, there's a few things that quickly became clear to all of us. One is that Epstein kept bringing up Donald Trump long after Trump said their friendship had ended. His private comments about Trump were, for the most part, remarkably negative and harsh. And he sort of often cast himself as someone who understood the former president's mindset. Now, in messages in 2017 and 2018, he described him as, quote, effing crazy. You can see that right there, speculated he might have early dementia, called him a maniac, borderline insane. There was something where he compared him to a mob boss. There was something where somebody messaged him and said, Trump is truly stupid, to which he replied, duh. So, one of the emails that we found that was very interesting was this one to Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, in which Epstein harshly described Trump, writing, quote, I have met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump, not one decent cell in his body. So yes, dangerous. Another we found seemingly.
Wait, we got to leave.
I have met some very bad people.
Let's leave that up there for the people in the back. Okay, let's read this. Now, this is Jeffrey Epstein having a conversation with somebody else about none other than Trump. Okay, now this is what Jeffrey Epstein said about Trump's personality, which is so crazy because is this not what we are seeing today? He said, Jeffrey Epstein said this about his friend, honey, because y'all know they were friends, okay? He said, I have met some very bad people. None as bad as Trump, not one decent cell in his body. So yes, he's dangerous. So this is one of Donald Trump's friends that's saying that he is a piece of shit.
People, none as bad as Trump, not one decent cell in his body. So yes, dangerous. Another we found seemingly mocked Trump. It was a 2019 exchange in which a contact wrote, just met your friend POTUS. And he responded back, see if you still have your wallet.
Now, look at that. So Epstein really don't have anything nice to say about Trump when somebody replied, which they didn't tell us who the person was. I guess we don't need to know who that person is. They simply said, just met your friend, POTUS, President of the United States. And Epstein's reply was, see if you still have your wallet. So he's pretty much saying that Trump is a scam artist, which we already knew, right?
And this one where he discusses his view of how Trump was handling the Russia investigation, Epstein wrote, your world does not understand how dumb he really is. He will blame everyone around him for the bad results.
Now this one, y'all, we gonna leave this one up here because y'all, is this not what we're seeing? He says, your world does not understand how dumb he really is. He will blame everyone around him for bad results. Mic drop. I mean, is that not what this man is currently doing? He done blamed Obama. He done blamed the Democrats. He done blamed Joe Biden. He blames everyone but himself. Everybody but himself. So this guy, Jeffrey Epstein, he definitely knew Trump and exactly who he was. He said he blames everybody but himself.
Wrote, your world does not understand how dumb he really is. He will blame everyone around him for the bad results.
I mean, it's really incredible when you go through this, right? And you realize how, these files, how, as Garcia was just talking about, right? Just the frequency with which Trump's name was mentioned, he was the subject. Trump obviously has never been accused by law enforcement of any wrongdoing, and it's important to always note that when we're talking about this. But the emails do suggest that Trump was a recurring fixation for Epstein, right? He keeps talking about him. He keeps analyzing him. What kind of insight did Epstein claim to have into Trump, Andrew? And I say that in the context of the fact that we know for many years the two men were very close.
Very close, very close. Trump had said in that New York Magazine article where he called him a, quote, terrific guy, that they had been, he had known him for 15 years at that point, and that was in the year 2000, so going all the way back to the 1980s. And Aaron, what you see in these messages is that Trump did talk about Epstein as if he was someone he had special insight to, if he understood how Trump thought in a way other people didn't. He described Trump as impulsive, isolated, in his own words, quote, nuts and dangerous. Take a look at this 2018 email where they're discussing this Daily Beast story that suggested that Trump was having a mental breakdown. He wrote,
wait a minute, y'all. Trump was having a mental breakdown then. He has a mental breakdown every day on Twitter or Truth with all of these crazy rants. Jeffrey Epstein said he feels alone and is nuts. So he's basically saying that this man feels as if he's by himself and he's a nutcase. He said, I told everyone from day one. So Epstein knows exactly who Trump is. He said he's evil beyond belief, mad and most thought. I was speaking metaphorically. So he said, listen, I've been telling y'all this from the jump. It's obvious he could crack Stormy Daniels' lies after lies after lies. No, is that not what we are witnessing right now with this man? Like Jeffrey Epstein definitely was telling the truth about this Donald Trump.
Take a look at this 2018 email where they're discussing this Daily Beast story that suggested that Trump was having a mental breakdown. He wrote, he feels alone and is nuts, using 3 exclamation points. I told everyone from day one, evil beyond belief, mad, and most thought I was speaking metaphorically. It's obvious he could crack. Stormy Daniels, lies after lies after lies, he wrote. In another exchange, he offered this assessment of Trump to someone who maybe was looking for insight into him. Donald is close to no one. He talks to many people. He tells each one something different. Now, Aaron, it's going to be, we'll still have to see, are these emails going to change anything politically? But that vote is coming up next week where the House is going to report or vote on releasing the Epstein files that'll then have to go to the Senate and be signed by the president. So this isn't going away. It's going to stay in the news, and we're going to see if more revelations keep happening.
Yeah. So Trump, the old pedophile, all of the MAGA pedophiles in the chat, how y'all doing? Stand up for your future brother. The MAGA pedophiles is in the chat.
We will, and Garcia making it clear they're going to go back to the Epstein estate if for any reason Trump's called for investigation stymies their efforts at the DOJ. K-File, Andrew Kaczynski, thank you so much. LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman just responding to President Trump's demand that he be investigated for.
The crazy part about this whole thing is you got to be a special type of stupid to stand up for a pedophile. Like, if you support those type of people, you must have that in your background. You are nasty, nasty, and disgusting. You pedophile, you. You support somebody that harmed children. You are disgusting. Donald Trump, we already know who Donald Trump is. I mean, his friends is pedophiles. So, and it's coming out, and you're mad. I know y'all big mad. Get over it.
His alleged involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Hoffman saying the move was a, quote, obvious ploy to delay release of the Epstein files, writing Trump should release all of the Epstein files, every person and every document in the files. Hoffman wrote in a thread on X, adding later, the call for an investigation is an obvious ploy to avoid releasing the files. Simply release all the files and expose the people who had both deep and ongoing.
Before I delete your chat, Craig Wan, the B is your ancestors. Your grandfather that raped children, men, boys. Your entire history is full of pedophiles, Craig Wan. The only B is your generation. Your culture is full of pedophiles, and that's why you protect pedophiles, because you come from pedophiles. You probably are a pedophile, considering your generation raped slaves, you raped women, children, and men, and also animals. So I know you're mad, but hey, I would be too.
Relationships with Epstein. Now, this is very significant, coming as it does after Trump earlier today had come out and said that he wanted an investigation from his own DOJ into several individuals, all of whom were Democrats or with deep Democratic ties. Reid Hoffman is the founder of LinkedIn and one of the biggest Democratic donors out there. Trump had repeatedly said he wanted.
The poor little beige people are so mad. Let's go. When I play this video, I'm going to go to the internet and show you how in your history, your generation was pedophiles. I know that's hard to hear. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, this is what you all did. And this is why you want to erase this from history, because you did, the stuff you did was so nasty that you don't want to believe you did it. But you did it. You did it. You have a history of pedophilia. Sad, I know. That's why you support Trump.
Investigations into Hoffman already, along with George Soros. Trump also mentioning Larry Summers and J.P. Morgan, as well as Bill Clinton in his list. Pam Bondi immediately acquiesced and said she would do the investigation. Kristen Holmes is back with us. But Kristen, you hear Reid Hoffman coming out, posting this online with his response, and Trump now answering questions on the Epstein emails, right? This big treasure trove that came out in the past 24 hours or 48 hours, thousands of pages. His name is in them, all over them. Congressman Garcia just said his name is in them more than anyone else's.
But let me just tell y'all this. They get mad when the truth come out. Let me just tell y'all this. This is really not solely about Trump, although we know Trump is a pedophile. We know that. I mean, Trump was accused and found guilty of hiring a 13-year-old girl that said that Trump did it to her, and so did Epstein. So we know he a pedophile just because of that case. Now, here's the deal. The reason why they don't want to release that list is because y'all know who's on the list. It's not only Trump. I mean, we're seeing Trump in the emails, but a whole bunch of old white men. And you know how you try to protect those old white men, them nasty old white men. So that is why this list is so private, because they don't want to tell the world that they're pedophiles in their old rich white men. I know y'all mad, but it's the truth. I mean, it's the truth. Did you guys hear about the Abercrombie and Fitch CEO? You probably didn't hear anything, but if you go to Google and type it in, this man is free on bond. You have not heard anything about the case, and he has a history of messing with girls and boys. So let me tell you what they said he was doing. He was making them think that he was coming in for like a modeling thing, and he was sex trafficking them. Now, this is another old rich white man. So the reason why this list is not coming out, because they don't want you all to know. Now, if it was black men on there, y'all know that list would have been out, but they try to protect the pedos because they're old, raggedy white men. I know y'all mad.
That Trump mentioned. So what is Trump saying now?
Well, President Trump has been answering questions about all of this, essentially saying that he believes that they need to, they being the Department of Justice, uncover all of the different relationships between Epstein and these various individuals. Obviously, Reid Hoffman, one of them, Larry Summers, one of them, Bill Clinton. I do think we just need to make it very clear that these investigations have already happened, not necessarily just into these individuals, but into Epstein as a whole, and ties that he had to a lot of prominent people. And these investigations that actually happened in the Southern District of New York found that they couldn't charge anyone else. And of course, this goes to the whole thing that we have been discussing, which is, how can you say that this is a hoax, but then call for an investigation into a hoax? Now, I do want to note one other thing, Aaron, because we have been talking about this extensively, and just a reminder, I asked Carolyn Levitt about this in particular, and she said she'd get back to me, and we never did, which was about this MRI that President Trump said that he had. Now, I know this is a separate topic, but I do think it's really important because we've been covering it so closely, and we've never gotten answers from the White House on this. Essentially, he says that he doesn't know why he got an MRI. He was asked about it again, and then said that it was part of a routine checkup. Well, part of the reason that we've been pushing for answers on this MRI is because an MRI is not part of a routine checkup in general. And so now he's saying it was part of that kind of routine checkup, that he doesn't know why he got it. But again, this doesn't really give us the answers that we have been asking for when it comes to President Trump's health. And just a reminder, and President Trump himself had asked the doctors. Of course, we've reached out to the doctors. They're not going to answer us. They haven't. But then on top of that, he said he wanted to be transparent, but we still don't have any of these answers here in terms of his health.
Well, I think those are really important things, and I'm glad you brought it up, Kristen, because obviously, it also defies belief to think that you wouldn't.
Well, I don't care about the old geezer's health. I hope he would just dwindle away and just die. I mean, if he would just die, we won't have to worry about him again. So that would probably be the best. So who gives a damn about his health? But you guys should know by now that him and Marjorie Taylor Greene is squabbling. Yes, they are fighting because Marjorie is feeling some kind of way about pretty much supporting the old pedo herself. So what did Marjorie Taylor Greene have to say about Donald Trump?
We're now in the middle of witnessing a major blow up between the two of them. One that a lot of people probably predicted would or did not expect would ever happen, with the president attacking her and her now calling the president, saying that he is lying about her and that she believes this is all over him trying to bully other Republicans into not voting in favor of that discharge petition on the Epstein files this week. I wonder what you make of what's playing out.
It's like they put truth serum in the MAGA water cooler, and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Donald Trump are both condemned to tell the truth about the other. Everything each says is right. They are narcissists. Marjorie Taylor.
And I wouldn't give a damn what you hoes report. There's nothing to report here. Trump is a pedophile. Hello. Report that hoe. No.
Taylor Greene is right that Donald Trump has no domestic agenda except to harm ordinary people, and Donald Trump is right that Marjorie Taylor Greene is crazy. So it's useful information all around. But what I worry most about this and the Epstein files and all the things that Trump has tried to keep control of, escaping his control, is he has one big distraction in his hand, and I fear he may be about to deploy it.
Look at all the pedophiles in the chat. Pedophiles, this is not the video for you. We do not support pedophilia over here. This is not the channel for it. We don't support it. We don't condone it. So you have to go to another channel. Whenever a child says that they have been harmed by somebody, they are telling the truth. So a 13-year-old, she's a grown-up now. She sued Donald Trump, and she said that he R''ed her when she was 13 years old. That makes him a pedophile. So if you're mad, I don't give a damn. Okay, pedophiles, get out this chat. You're in the wrong chat.
We're seeing in the Caribbean naval forces in the region since the Cuban Missile Crisis. There's no plan. There's no authorization by Congress. There are no regional partners. It is not a war that should be fought in this way at this time. But one thing it would do is change the subject.
So you're worried that he could take.
Right. They say I'm going to report you. There's nothing to report. Dummy. Pedophile, pedophile, pedophile. You are protecting a pedophile. And you should probably leave here. I mean, and stop saying you're racist. I mean, I wouldn't give a damn if you said I was racist or not. I don't care. I mean, I am Black, so you have to know that I support Black people. Dummies. You are dumb.
Take action on a foreign policy move to distract from what's happening in Washington.
Yeah, I think that explains a lot of his foreign policy operations, but the forces are there. They've been pulled away from other theaters where they might be needed. They're building up to something. Again, they have no authorization. They have no allies. They have no goals. But boy, would it change the subject. And boy, does Donald Trump right now need a subject change.
Yeah, and we've seen what's been playing out. Obviously, the president was saying tonight he didn't know if he'd take that step. He wasn't sure. We know he's been briefed on options there. But on this, in and of itself, do you think that that is the reason he's criticizing Marjorie Taylor Greene, though, is because he doesn't want other Republicans coming out in what, we've told could be a huge snowball effect next week when Speaker Mike Johnson actually puts this on the floor, that a lot of Republicans could end up bucking the White House and voting for this?
I think he genuinely can't help himself. I don't know that Donald Trump has fully formed strategic plans. He has a lot of impulses. He's also testing the old magic. After one of the things that has happened after the elections in New Jersey and Virginia and elsewhere, and Georgia maybe most significantly, because there was an all-state race that Republican candidates lost, is a lot of Republicans have to be thinking, what about my future? I used to think the greatest hazard to my future might be that Donald Trump would criticize me, but maybe actually now he can't help me and might even hurt me. And that's a little bit of discipline lost. Marjorie Taylor Greene may be the test case where a lot of less inflammatory Republicans are saying, if she gets away with this, we can all get away with it.
Yeah, and she's obviously someone who has been a huge advocate of his and very loyal to the president, especially after January 6th when everything happened. And obviously, no one can forget.
Wait a minute. I got to just say this comment. I got to put it on here. You say, why is all the white people crying? Because they can't handle the truth. Us beautiful Black people, we are put together wonderfully. We can take all sort of things. But when you're told that you come from a history of pedophiles, you can't take it because you just can't handle the truth. I mean, the reason why a lot of those people, they can, when they hear about pedophiles, they think that it's okay because that comes from their generation. I mean, when it's in your blood, you don't see anything wrong with it. So when somebody tell you it's something wrong with it, you get mad, honey. That's what that is.
She's not a good actor. I mean, she's not a hero of the Republic, but she is somebody who may be just crazy enough to actually believe the things that Donald Trump says without believing them.
So a lot has happened tonight. Buckle up. Marjorie Taylor Greene is learning what it feels like to be on Trump's bad side. She has been one of the most vocal Republicans calling for the full release of the Justice Department's investigative files on Jeffrey Epstein. And now President Trump tonight is unendorsing. He is withdrawing his endorsement of Marjorie Taylor Greene and writing on Truth Social that all I see wacky Marjorie do is complain, complain, complain. And then he added that I can't take a ranting lunatic's call every day. There was a lot there. So you can go, and then talking about a lot, then MTG fired back with screenshots of text messages that she claims where she claims that Trump is lying and that she did not call him, also saying that it is astonishing, really, how hard he is fighting to stop the Epstein files from coming out.
Okay, I just want to answer something because y'all know I'm going to get these hoes together in this chat. That's like saying all Black people are on EBT. Let me just explain to you something, sweetheart. We know that the majority of white people are on EBT. And the statistics are there. You motherfuckers have lied your entire life, making it seem like Black people are on EBT when the statistic recently showed that you motherfuckers are on EBT. I mean, you don't even have to have common sense to figure that out. We are the minority. How could we be the majority of people on EBT? You people are the majority of people utilizing public assistance, frauding, getting food stamps, y'all on every type of aid that exists. One thing about a Black person, if we did get EBT and for some reason we didn't get EBT, you better believe we got another way to get food. So you can just get the hell up out of here with your bullshit saying it's like the majority of Black people being on EBT, because I bet you were born on EBT, you passed it down to your children, and now your grandchildren are on EBT. Don't come in here with that EBT shit. Don't come in here with that.
She argued that she has been one of Trump's strongest supporters, but that she doesn't, quote, worship or serve Donald Trump. On top of unendorsing, he actually said that he would support anyone who would be primarying her in the upcoming election. Who wants to take this one on?
Well, I can tell you that is not unusual in politics. Political romances are often short-lived. And she has been critical of him not only about the Epstein files, but about his involvement in foreign affairs. And I don't mean with women. I mean in various parts of the world. And,
you said it, no.
Just to clear the table on that one. And so it's not surprising that they have had a breakup of sorts. After all, he didn't give her a ring. He just supported her for a little while.
Listen, this fire is spreading. I mean, right? It started off talking about Epstein in the beginning. Then during the shutdown, she was one of the few Republicans that correctly identified Donald Trump's unwillingness to deal with the ACA subsidies and lower healthcare costs for Americans as being one of the reasons why the shutdown occurred.
Yeah, she was very outspoken about that.
Now she's talking about foreign policy. This is not going away. Whatever is going on between them seems to only be heating up, and I think...
Let me make sure you people understand, because y'all got some confused. If you don't want to be here, go to some white person's channel. This is a Black person's channel. I support Black people. Don't come in my chat telling me nothing about Black people are on public assistance when you motherfuckers was born on public assistance and you passed it down. I said that white people are pedophiles because I meant it. And if you would go to Google, you can Google how slaves was raped. Who do you think raped them, you idiot? Don't sit here and come on here and play games with me. I'm not gonna lie to you to make you feel a certain way. I don't give a damn if you are here or not. I'm going to tell you the truth. You're not going to come in my chat telling me bullshit. So if you think it's racist, I don't give a damn. The truth may seem racist, but you can Google this shit. This is what y'all did. So if you don't like it, go fix your background, I guess. It is what it is. I don't give a damn. It ain't my background. It's yours.
The rest of us should get the popcorn.
I think
Sitting here for it.
And a war with words, sorry, Scott, a war with words with Donald Trump is such a risky business that I cannot believe she has the bravery to engage in it, because even if she was right, she's still going to lose.
Is there an example of anyone beating Donald Trump at this game?
Never. This is his game, and he's great at it. And she's barking up a tree that she's going to fall on her really hard.
You know, it's interesting. He has some people who profess to be strong supporters who do oppose him more often than the people that you might not think are his strongest supporters. She's one of them. Thomas Massie in Kentucky is another one. Rand Paul, my home state senator, he takes on Trump, although they profess to be Trump supporters. In this case, I think he had the order out of order. I trace all this back to his decision, the righteous decision to strike Iran. She was against it. So were some of the people who occupy that wing of the party. He defied them. And since that time, they all seem to be stridently picking at him on this issue or that. And then, of course, everybody knows in Washington, Miles, you know, the fastest way to get in front of a television camera if you're a Republican is to come out and crap on Donald Trump. And so that is what she is doing.
But you know, Scott,
that is what she is doing because
I trace it back further than that, Scott.
Over these issues.
They are, and I enjoy cussing them the F out. So, you know, if they want to come in here talking they shit, because it's something called white trash. And if you come in here with that, you can be white trash, okay? I don't care what you idiots say. I said what I said. If you don't like it, get the fuck out of here. And it's that on that. I said what I said. If you don't like it, get the fuck stepping.
And that's what happened.
Scott, I trace it further back. I trace it back to 10 years ago when you said Donald Trump was an authoritarian. And you know what, Scott, I've got to hand it to you. That was a remarkable forecast. Because 10 years later, I think you called it. Here's Donald Trump today, the man with the heart and soul of a fascist, showing us he now has the bona fides. By tonight, ordering investigations into American citizens. That's why members of his party, that's why members of his
running the executive against him. Why are you so upset he's running the executive branch?
For the same reasons you predicted he shouldn't. For the same reasons, Scott, you said he violated his oath and he should never be back in that office.
I happily voted
That's why I'm upset for the man being in the Oval Office.
I happily voted for him 3 times.
I know that.
The alternative was terrible.
And a lot of your friends were shocked.
Yeah, well, a lot of my friends would have been shocked at you trying to subvert the elected president of the United States, which you did.
Well, I proudly did. I proudly
some
said
mid-level
to the
staffer
country
substituting his
who
judgment
this
for the
man
elected
was.
president of the United States.
Well,
Good
Scott,
luck,
I would have
brother.
loved to have seen you stand up to it.
Good luck.
Back to MTG. Is it the sign of a changing tide? Is it the sign, or is it a singular one back and forth between one Republican who is getting into a fight with Donald Trump? Or do you think there is a possibility that it is the beginnings of Republicans seeing past the Donald Trump era?
The short answer is that we don't know.
Because you've got like Thomas Massie saying exactly that. Like your vote on this discharge petition is going to outlast Donald Trump's time here. So you need to consider that when you make your decision.
But if we keep paying attention, what we see is that last week, the president got his clock clean in an election. All the Republicans got their clock clean in an election. This week, we see what's happening with the Epstein files. So next week, we're going to see them take a vote. And if we see a bunch of Republicans defect on the Epstein files, I think what we're seeing is the real testing of the waters to find out whether or not you can oppose Donald Trump and still get elected. When we talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene, the one thing we haven't talked about yet is her fundraising prowess. And according to sources, she is the most popular fundraiser in the Republican Party other than Donald Trump.
This prediction about no one's going to care about this.
I was asking it a question. I wasn't predicting.
No, you said people were, somebody said that this was going to outlive.
Tom Massie.
And the prediction that this was going to outlive. I totally disagree with that. I think right now more.
Okay, y'all, let's switch gears and see what's going on with these damn emails. Because, you know, a few more have come out. Let's kind of go over that and how the Trump administration is running from them damn emails.
Donald Trump can't escape as he caps the worst start to a month of his second term. From the Dem wins to the Epstein email explosion this week, he is having a tough November. These new Epstein emails have upended the White House. And they're only getting worse because it takes time, even in our rapid information environment, for journalists and politicos and any citizen who wants to look and go through these 20,000 emails. All of this started when Democrats used their power to push the envelope and release some of the emails, the ones they said showed why Trump is hiding as they demand a vote to release them all. Republicans got mad, remember, in the week and said, oh, well, we'll release more. And so what started with 3 emails turned to 20,000. Tonight I have more details on how it's all going, because this is a vast tranche of documents, of emails, that many people clearly, from the way they were typing to Epstein, thought would stay secret forever. Epstein made the biggest news, perhaps, from the grave, so to speak, with his now unearthed statement.
Of course, he knew about the girls. Epstein said, of course, he knew about the girls. Now, a lot of people saying, what does this prove? It proves that this man, Donald Trump, he knew of what was going on. Like, he knew of it. What Epstein said in an email to somebody else is that Trump was actually with one of these victims. So, I mean, these emails are proving a lot. And people want Donald Trump out of the White House. We have a pedo in the White House.
Statement to Maxwell, a sex trafficker convicted and in prison right now, that, of course, Trump knew about the girls. Donald Trump has denied any wrongdoing and has very specifically tried to deny that he knew what Epstein was exactly up to, although the Trump story on that has changed, and that is getting new scrutiny right now. There is also how the Trump DOJ has dealt with Maxwell and her controversial interview with a former Trump defense lawyer who now is paid by your tax dollars to do a people's business at the Trump DOJ. But it looks like Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche may not have been doing the people's business. We'll get to that. But in this exchange from 2011, Epstein wrote to Maxwell, Trump was spending, quote, hours at his house with one of the victims.
Okay. All of you weirdos in the chat that said, well, what does the emails prove? They even blew it up for you slow ass people. It says Trump was with a victim and they spent hours at my house. Do you guys not know how to read? Does this not prove that Trump was in on what Epstein was in on? I know y'all slow, and some of you trolls in the chat are pedos yourself, so you protect pedophiles, okay? I figured that out. But it says right here that Trump was with a victim and that Trump spent hours at his house with a victim. Y'all do know how to read, don't you? Victim. We even have it highlighted in black. That means victim. Mega pedophiles.
Maxwell said she's been thinking about that, as they said that Trump was a dog that didn't bark. That matters for many reasons, but specifically whether Deputy Attorney General Blanche is worried about later professional sanctions or misconduct or even potentially being disbarred if this is part of a larger cover-up. It obviously contradicts what Maxwell apparently falsely claimed with no repercussions yet when she had her cozy interview with Deputy Attorney General Blanche just months ago.
I think they were friendly, like people are in social settings. I don't think they were close friends, or I certainly never witnessed the president in any of, I don't recall ever seeing him in his house, for instance.
Something she suddenly says she didn't recall when the emails say she did. If the Trump DOJ were on the level, and this is now public.
Okay, did you slow people in the chat follow that? Let me break that shit down for you because I know you're slow. So when 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞 was just emailed by the DOJ, y'all know how Trump fixed that shit up and moved this lady to a very nice prison. I don't know what a very nice prison is, but where she is supposed to be better than she was. Well, she sat down, and at that time, she acted like she didn't know shit. But they're now going back to those emails that she emailed years ago, which said she actually did know something. So does that make any sense to y'all? Or are you going to say that was a lie and it's fake news?
Like, at a minimum, they would go deal with this with her. At a maximum, remember, even when you're in prison, if you mislead the federal government, if you provide false statements to a federal officer, that could be a new crime. And yet they're not obviously doing anything like that. They're giving her special treatment and a puppy in prison, and we'll get to that. Blanche says that for some reason, quote, law enforcement didn't have those emails when he did the interview. As I've reported to you, he said, when I interviewed Maxwell, quote, law enforcement didn't have the materials Epstein's estate, quote, hid for years and only provided to Congress. That statement is highly suspicious, and it is now getting debunked by the Epstein estate, which says we hadn't received any requests from DOJ in recent years, emphasis on recent years, I'll come back to that, but they say, and these are the ones who have been lately more transparent, of course, working for the Epstein estate sounds controversial, but Epstein's dead. These are the people who manage the estate. These are lawyers who have their own obligations. They are the ones who provided these emails. So they might have more credibility than Mr. Blanche right now. And they say tonight it's inaccurate for Blanche and Trump DOJ to assert the estate has hidden anything. And let me tell you a bit more about that. You might say, okay, Ari, with everything going on, why are we diving into a debate between anonymous lawyers or random obscure lawyers at the Epstein estate and the Deputy Attorney General? Well, the Deputy Attorney General is responding because he's under pressure. The interview, many legal experts have said, looked suspicious at the time. Now it looks like outright cover-up, potential misconduct. And so he says law enforcement didn't have the materials. He tries to go after the Epstein estate. Maybe he didn't realize they would come back at him. They're saying his whole defense that they hid anything is wrong, is inaccurate. Another word for that would be a lie if they think he knows that it's inaccurate. But more to the point, they didn't use the underlying original nonpartisan career prosecutors who led the Maxwell case. That was suspicious. I pointed that out at the time. Those prosecutors probably know everything that they requested, including the first step you take in this kind of probe, which is to try to get emails and texts, and you go to the telecommunications providers. You don't even need to get them from Epstein. We would know more about that if the Trump DOJ was on the level. And then remember, on top of that, they then fired the person who actually won Maxwell's conviction, Maureen Comey. So there's a lot more smoke here and a lot more questions, and a real investigation can get to the bottom of it. Now, you might say, are we going to get to the bottom of anything? Seems like a lot of secrecy and a lot of corruption these days. Well, you're right if you think that. And there are a lot of places where Congress doesn't do anything, and a lot of places where Republicans won't stand up to Donald Trump. That is a well-known pattern. And yet here we are ending this bruising week for Trump with an unusual headline. Republicans revolting. Congress, which is controlled by Republicans, will actually hold this vote next week on releasing more of the Epstein files. Epstein accusers imploring lawmakers to vote yes. That's part of the public pressure. They write, there's no hiding behind party affiliation. When you vote, we will remember your decision at the ballot box. And there has certainly been a nonpartisan or transpartisan movement with growing heat to get to the bottom of this. Trump is trying to deflect. He made an announcement today that itself is illicit and suspicious. He now says he wants the DOJ to investigate whether there were other crimes or Epstein's relationship with Bill Clinton and other figures, and he names the bank, JP Morgan, tech entrepreneur Reid Hoffman, and others. Now just think about that. I know we live in cynical times, but if this government, from the president on down, thinks there was sex trafficking with any of those people, or JP Morgan, which of course was very controversial in how it handled Epstein's banking, just think about what Trump just admitted, that they haven't really pursued that. This is his DOJ. He was in charge in the first term. They could have looked at all of that. That's when the initial Epstein case came. He's been in charge now, as you know, for this year. And yet that announcement, if you take it at its word, admits they haven't done it and there may be crimes and now they want to do it. That implicates Donald Trump if you take him at his word. If you don't take him at his word and you think this is a giant distraction, an effort to use the real crimes and victims and sex trafficking that did occur in a politicized way to go after other people and distract from himself, well, that's even more disgusting and cynical. And if you know this program, I don't use those words often or lightly, but it is indeed disgusting. If you have an oath to uphold the Constitution and enforce the laws, and here you are abusing and misusing that responsibility to play political games, and your pawns or chess pieces in that are the women and girls who actually were the victims of these crimes, we do need to maintain our capacity both for outrage when it's warranted and a vigorous search for the truth, which is what the justice system is supposed to do. This is how it goes when Trump talks to reporters about this.
Mr. President, can you respond to these Epstein emails that were released today?
President Trump walked past reporters yesterday, as you see here, as they were asking him questions about the newly released Epstein emails.
Mr. President, any comment on these Epstein emails, sir?
No comment.
Now, not a lot of response from a normally voluble figure there. The conservative Wall Street Journal, owned by Rupert Murdoch, says, as is so often the case, Trump has been his own worst enemy here. He looks like he has something to hide, even if he doesn't. Now, let me tell you a word about that even if. Even if he doesn't have something to hide is charitable. But he does have something to hide. He's in the Epstein files. He's in Epstein's secret emails to a convicted sex trafficker, Maxwell, to Steve Bannon. People are getting more details on those as everyone pours through what is 20,000 documents. Some of them are quite interesting. Some of them are random. Some of them, the House release involves public information like pages from a book. So you go through all this in the reporting process. But he clearly has something to hide because he's been fighting even this disclosure, which shows he's in the files. And he's fighting the next possible disclosure, which suggests he's in the files again. As for Maxwell, she has the audacity, or the sex trafficking chutzpah, to use this period to prepare to ask Trump to let her out of prison. Something that would seem unthinkable unless you think, again, he would rather take the hit for that to maintain her as some sort of non-credible source to defend him. Unlike other prisoners, Maxwell already reportedly gets unlimited supplies, special treatment, quote, customized meals personally delivered to her cell, a private exercise area, access to this much maligned service puppy. She says it's safer and more comfortable. I feel like I've dropped through Alice in Wonderland looking glass. I'm much happier and safe, is her statement on the matter. Trump said he would not rule out freeing her. Think about that. He's on the run. He's in the files. And now, having campaigned on both transparency of releasing the files and justice and saying this whole pedophilia ring was a bad thing, he is now still leaving the door open to freeing from prison the only individual ever incarcerated for Epstein's related crimes. Now, we've heard so many lectures about how nothing changes and Trump has loyalty and he likes to tell people he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and get away with it. Well, that may not be true either. There are some problems, legal and otherwise, that Trump's base has excused. But right now, I showed you the Wall Street Journal. I showed you the Republicans in the House who overrode Trump's strategy here of secrecy, and other members of the MAGA base are upset. Newsweek reports on the threat to the Trump presidency now looks unlike anything we've seen before. And over across the whole country, his approval is cratering, MAGA loyalists concerned.
Well, that's good because, like I said, I don't know who could support somebody like this. This dude is guilty. He's guilty. He's guilty. He's guilty. And from what I see, this shit is, they are, stuff is coming out with regards to corruption in his cabinet because these folks is corrupt.
Today, ProPublica published quite a scoop about Trump DHS Secretary Kristi Noem that in any other era, I should say, would be a career-ending scandal. But to understand the pattern of corruption of this woman, we just have to zoom out just a little bit, just for a moment. Because since Noem took over DHS at the beginning of the year, she's become known for appearing to be more obsessed with putting on various costumes than doing her actual job. I mean, she donned a bulletproof vest just to talk to her own agents. She wore a Customs and Border Patrol uniform on Fox News. And of course, she is constantly, and I mean constantly, throwing on a cowboy hat and riding horses, always with plenty of cameras around to capture the moment. But Noem's apparent obsession with image actually goes much further than just putting on costumes, because she has directed more than 200 million taxpayer dollars into TV ads to promote her work at DHS. And just to put it in context, that is nearly twice what DHS spent on ads altogether in all of last year. And the content of those ads have already been a scandal kind of in and of themselves.
I'm Kristi Noem, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. Thank you, President Donald J. Trump, for securing our border.
And if you are wondering who exactly the target audience is for that, DHS spent $30,000 to run that ad, the one I just showed you, specifically in the ad market where Mar-a-Lago is. Now, as much as spending tens of thousands of dollars to make sure your ad plays on the TV near the president is a bizarre waste of taxpayer money, $30,000, it turns out, is a drop in the bucket compared to the more than $200 million DHS has spent this year making and airing ads. And the rest of that money is where the story gets truly bonkers. I mean, since March, we have known that DHS skipped the normal competitive bidding process when giving out the contracts to make and air these ads. DHS claimed that because Trump declared an emergency at the southern border, they didn't have to waste time getting competitive bids. And that brings me to the first part of ProPublica's big scoop today. Because it turns out that the majority of that no-bid contract money, $143 million taxpayer dollars, went to this kind of mysterious LLC in Delaware. An LLC that was created just days before it got.
Woo! Corruption at its finest. I know y'all picked up on that. Did y'all pick up on that? These people are stealing your damn tax dollars. Not only are they pedophiles, this woman spent $220 million for ads. Did y'all see where 100 and something million went? She just said to an LLC that was just created. Y'all, they stealing the money. I've been told y'all this. We're going to have to rewind this. They stealing the money.
Turns out that the majority of that no-bid contract money, $143 million taxpayer dollars, went to this kind of mysterious LLC in Delaware. An LLC that was created just days before it got that no-bid contract, just days. And
so let me kind of break that down for y'all. I don't know if y'all familiar with bidding and getting work through the federal government. It is a very competitive process. I used to do it, but I stopped doing it because I was spending so much of my time. In order to get an award with the federal government, there are so many requirements. And I'm going to tell you this. If you are a new business, it's very hard to get contracts with the federal government, especially a $125 million contract. What this does is it screams corruption. $125 million went to an LLC that was created just days before they received the money. No, it don't work like that. This screams corruption. So not only is Donald Trump and his MAGA people a bunch of pedophiles, they're scammers. I mean, you're telling me that a new business got a contract for $125 million and it was just created days ago? Nah, it don't work like that.
Million taxpayer dollars went to this kind of mysterious LLC in Delaware. An LLC that was created just days before it got that no-bid contract, just days. And the man who owns the home that LLC lists as its address did not respond to ProPublica's questions. Now, when asked why the agency chose that LLC, DHS said, quote, "The results speak for themselves," and then proceeded to claim that Trump has made the border the most secure it has been in American history. Not exactly answering the question. So DHS gave a $143 million no-bid contract to a brand new LLC that no one seems to know anything about. That is...
That shit went to Donald Trump pockets. Are y'all catching this? Are y'all catching this tea?
Obviously a scandal enough to begin with. Then there's this. This is an ad Kristi Noem shot on October 2nd, which, by the way, was the second day of the government shutdown. So while hundreds of thousands of federal workers went without pay, including the nearly 50,000 TSA workers that work under Noem, Noem donned a cowboy hat and had a production company film her riding horseback with buffalo. And whether or not you care about the very weird content of the ad, you should care about who made it. Because according to ProPublica's new reporting, that ad was made by a company called Strategy Group, which is run by a man who is not only the husband of Noem's chief DHS spokesperson, Tricia McLaughlin, yes, she's a something, but also has personal and business ties to Noem herself. And the company's name, Strategy Group, does not appear on any of the public documents about the contract. Instead, the group listed on the contract is the mysterious Delaware LLC that DHS gave that $143 million contract to. I should say that DHS said in a statement to ProPublica that it does all of its contracting by the book. Okay. but the office in charge of funding ad contracts at DHS is the Office of Public Affairs, which is run by none other than DHS spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin. And when she was asked about why DHS ended up using her husband's company, Strategy Group, to make that ad, she replied with this: "We don't have visibility into why they were chosen. I don't know who they're a subcontractor with, but I don't work with them because I have a conflict of interest and I fully recuse myself. My marriage is one thing and work is another. I don't combine them." Well, Tricia, they seem pretty freaking combined right now, don't they? I mean, her husband, the CEO of Strategy Group, 𝐵en-YoHo, did not respond to ProPublica's questions. So not only did DHS give a $143 million no-bid contract to an unknown LLC, but that unknown LLC then hired someone tied to gnome, someone literally married to the gnome aide in charge of giving out DHS ad contracts. And believe it or not, this is not the first scandal about gnome and this company, the Strategy Group. See, back when she was governor, gnome's office hired Strategy Group to make these ads. Yet again, a lot of costumes going on here. This is gnome dressed as a state trooper, a construction worker, a nurse, an accountant. Here's gnome dressed as an electrician, a welder, a dentist, and my favorite, a plumber. There were a lot of these ads, millions of dollars worth, paid for by South Dakota taxpayers. Those ads were the result of a bidding process, and the state says the process was done by the book. But ProPublica reports that a former official from gnome's South Dakota governor's office has since alleged that the bidding process was rigged. The former official said that a top gnome aide told them the governor would be angry if Strategy Group didn't win the contract. And then contemporaneous text messages reviewed by ProPublica corroborated that account, showing that senior gnome administration officials pushing for Strategy Group to get the contract. There's all that. Gnome, of course, denies those allegations. I should note that MSNBC has not independently verified ProPublica's reporting. But if this reporting is accurate, and it's very detailed, and a company run by someone with personal and business ties to gnome herself has managed to score government contracts, huge ones, from gnome's agency with a no bidding process and literally zero transparency, that should at least very much be a call for an investigation from somewhere, if not cause for gnome to be forced to ride off in the sunset on one of those horses.
Well, y'all, this is a lot. This is what the hell world are we living in here? So I hope y'all got that. Now, $100 and something million being awarded to a company that did not basically go through the bidding process, and now they're finding out that that particular company is tied to this woman's husband's business. Ooh-wee. Y'all, this is a mess. This is a mess right here. So we have pedophiles, and we definitely have some corruption. We definitely have some corruption going on, because there's no way that you should be awarding a business of your husband's to get $120-something million of the people's money. Okay.